Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Soo, your East Oakland advocate. Well, today I want to talk about PG&E. The reason why I want to talk about PG&E, they've been all over the news talking about raising rates. And we're not talking little chump change. We're talking significant dollars. And then last night, PG&E blew a grid right here in East Oakland out by the Coliseum. So everything, all the high power transmission line was dead and could not power the pole mounted transformers, which reduces that 5,000 volts down to 120 volts for your home. And so anyway, they're talking about raising rates, and then last night they blew a grid, and that happened shortly after 9 p.m. last night, Pacific Daylight Time. And it stayed out. It stayed out until just before 4 o'clock this morning. And the reason why I bring this up, and this topic is important, is because small businesses can be devastated by a power outage that long. In my case, where I'm preparing an aquaculture business, I have to have a backup power system so that my livestock, my inventory stays alive. Because a near 7-hour outage could kill off everything by not having, number one, the pumps running to move the water. Number two, the aeration system to keep the oxygen levels appropriate for the livestock. The filtering systems, which filter out the impurities and make the water habitable. And in my vertical farming situation, the plants would probably be okay, but there would no longer be the timed feeding of the water and the fertilizers that of the hydroponics that feed the plants. And so it could be very detrimental to the plants. It may not kill them, but it can cause some stunting of the growth or disrupt the normal growth patterns. So that inventory the quality would be affected. And so that's always a big concern, and that's why having a secondary power system to feed everything is necessary. And my investors, they've been fighting me on this, but I think after last night's event and the scenarios that could have happened, if this was or at least a year into the project, where we've created cycles, breeding cycles, the nursery room cycles, and the grow out room cycles. Those would all be affected because the livestock would more or less for the entire year would be dead. And PG&E, this is not the first time that PG&E has done this. Back in the 2000s, during the power crisis here in California, PG&E had what was called rolling blackouts, and they would turn off power on your grid, turn your grid off, and with 1 hour notice. Well, with some of the businesses down in the high-tech industry, the materials, the things that they work with, that 1 hour notice would not be sufficient for a shutdown. And one of the companies, the big companies that threatened to move out, was Hewlett-Packard at the time, because their processes, one of the processes involved cyanide gas as part of the plating system. And so it how HP said it takes them nearly 4 hours to evacuate that system to make it safe, where there's no cyanide gas that could be leaked into the environment. So it's things like that. And number one, that would have been not only an environmental disaster, but also a personnel disaster, because you're going to kill everybody with the cyanide gas in a matter of seconds without a proper shutdown. And so that's why we have to have a backup power system. And I already engineered it for the rooftops, and we're talking about a $50,000 investment, and it's a write-off still, because it's there to ensure the longevity of the business. And so the business model that I'm putting together is one that's planned and has milestones. We have a 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, and then 10-year plan. And all of it is very doable. And the bottom line is we have to control energy costs. Just like in your home, you have to control energy costs. And so we're going to be doing that by mostly being solar. I've already designed and engineered on paper 25,000 watt solar system for the business here. And then we're going to have battery backup, and we're going to have some pretty serious battery backup systems. So again, PG&E constantly raises rates, and we can't stabilize the most expensive portion of the business, which is PG&E and energy. So with actually last night's power outage, it actually reinforced my position for having a redundant energy system to keep the business open. The other option was installing a generator. But then the generator, you have a real high cost, way more than $50,000. In fact, a generator of that size that we would need for here would be more like about $2.5 million. And then you have the ongoing costs of the fuel to run it, and then also you're required by California Air Resources Board to pull emissions permit for that, and that's an expensive permit, so that you can have it, and you may or may not run it. So that's why solar is the better redundant system that we're going to be working on. $50,000 is a minuscule amount for a business planning long term. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.